Mike, good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to Margate Airport. The main reason why we want to speak to you today is about the pro-shark lobbyists who say that the shark nets are unnecessary, that they should be removed, and that sharks are actually not such dangerous creatures as we make them out to be.
Okay, morning to everyone. I think something very important that we must never forget is that shark nets have been in on the south coast here, especially in the Margate area, since the early 60s. They dropped shark attack. There's no doubt that they function. We know from an environmental point of view that they're not ideal. At the moment, there's no other alternative to them. So until there's an alternative, if we still want to continue to have tourism down in this area, which does thrive on tourism, it's important and imperative that we do keep gear in the water.
Mike, you know sharks. I mean, surely, I'm not saying they're going to attack everything they see, but surely they can't be harmless.
No, often people will tell you that sharks don't bite people and things like that, but I think if we look at Western Australia at the moment, if we look at Reunion at the moment, if we look at Port St. John's, if we look at what happened a couple of years ago down in Fishhook, sharks do unfortunately interact with people, and we do have times when they do bite them. And unfortunately, those bites end up generally with people either losing limbs or, if they're really unfortunate, losing their lives.
Okay, now what would the Sharks Board's message be to the pro-sharks lobby who walk around saying that the shark nets should go?
Look, everyone's got a right to a voice. Everyone has a right to express their opinion. We live in a wonderful country that has a great constitution, so we all can have our say. It's very difficult when a small minority try and speak on behalf of a majority. And one must understand that the majority of tourists that visit the south coast are here to bathe at the beaches. Okay, we don't net the entire coastline. We only have 38 beaches along the coast. But we have those 38 beaches there for a specific reason, and that is to protect the tourist that comes and visits our beaches.
Well, I can imagine a situation if you guys should, remove the shark nets. If a shark should bite a bather at Margate Beach after that, can you imagine what the situation would be like?
Well, I'll just give the example of what transpired at Fishhook. Fishhook had a number of attacks, white shark attacks, and the entire infrastructure at Fishhook itself, in other words, the bed and breakfast and all that, were virtually on the point of collapse. The town was on the way to becoming a ghost town. The Metro understood this. They consulted with the Sharks Board, and hence they've come up with that net now where we put the net in the morning and take the net out in the afternoon. And that is revitalized, and Fishhook's back on track again. So one's got to be very careful that if you do take the gear out the water and there is an incident, it may take a while before there's an incident, because remember, shark nets are there to cull sharks. That's what they do. And it may take a while, but once you have that incident, then you have an issue.
Mike, another argument that they use is that the sharks that are caught, that they are caught when they go out, not when they're coming in.
35% of the sharks are caught exiting the bathing areas, but one must understand that a lot of those animals are caught at night as well, not during daylight hours, and not every shark out there is swimming around looking to bite somebody. The shark nets work on keeping the numbers of sharks down in a particular area. And by keeping those numbers down, it reduces the likelihood of a shark attack taking place. They're not 100% effective. We've had 2 incidents in 50 years, but 2 incidents in 50 years are far better than the averages we had in the past.
Following up on that now, what about the argument that shark numbers worldwide are diminishing, that they're becoming fewer and fewer?
Sharks are definitely under threat worldwide. I mean, something like 100 million sharks are taken out in the finning trade and as bycatch and that. So sharks are having a problem worldwide. Our fishery at Sharks Board, because we are a fishery, is very, very well monitored. We have 5 scientists that work every single day on what we're catching. All that is reported to the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, who issue us with permits to do what we do. And we're not a private business. The Sharks Board here by Act of this province. Act number 5 of 2008 empowers us to do what we do. We don't force people to have nets in the water. We're a service provider to the municipalities. So Sharks Board is a very organization that's very serious about what it does. We go to all lengths to try and reduce. In terms of our act, we have to try and reduce bycatch. We put in drum lines down here on the lower south coast, and that's reduced the bycatch by some 47%. And that's going in the right direction. A lot of people will tell you, oh, we must do what they do in the Cape, we must have shark spotters and all that. It's very easy to say, let's do this, let's do that, but we've got to look at the practicalities of that. We have turbid water conditions here. We don't have white sharks. that they have in the Cape, or specific to their problem. Ours is not just white sharks. We have bull sharks here. Bull sharks swim at the bottom. They don't swim near the top. So they spend most of their time down near the bottom, and they love turbid water. So we can't have shark spotters here. We've tried, we've looked at sonar. Everything that has been proposed around the world, we've looked at. And at this stage in time, if you look like a country like Australia, Australia is an extremely environmentally aware country, and yet to this day they are still using shark nets and they're still using drumlines because they understand that there is no alternative as we sit right now. As soon as there's an alternative, we will certainly introduce it off our coast.
And it also means that fishermen who lose a lot of fish because of sharks, even though that happens, they shouldn't kill sharks unnecessarily. They shouldn't just, take a shark out of the water, throw it onto the land and let it die.
I'd certainly disagree with that. I can understand their frustrations. In the same way I can understand people who are sitting there saying, save our sharks and things like that, because they're also financially driven. The sharks are their business. So I can understand from their point of view as well. So it's not a simple thing. I have to look at it, the Sharks Board has to look at it from the point of tourism in this province. That is extremely important to this province. We know that it generates a lot of business, it generates a lot of employment. And that's the reason why we still have gear off the coast, because we need tourism in KZN.
Mike, thanks very much for your time. We'll do another interview just now on the sardines. Thanks.
Thanks very much.